where we're constantly bombarded with noise and distractions, it can be easy to lose sight of what's truly important. Life often throws challenges our way, and it's during these times that we can learn some of the most valuable lessons. Today, we're diving into the timeless wisdom of one of history's greatest minds, Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor. His writings, captured in meditations, offer insights that are as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. So, let's explore 75 life lessons from Marcus Aurelius that can help guide us toward a more peaceful, purposeful life. First lesson. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Morning is a time we often take for granted, yet every morning is an extraordinary gift. When we open our eyes and feel the air filling our lungs, we should recognize how fortunate we are. So many people out there might not have the chance to wake up and experience the same thing. Have we ever thought about how precious it is to breathe, to think, to feel, and to love? In a life full of busyness and challenges, we often forget to appreciate the simple things that give our lives meaning. However, each morning we wake up is a new opportunity to begin something wonderful. Each day is a gift, and it's essential to start our mornings with gratitude, acknowledging the simple yet profound privilege of being alive. Each day is an invaluable gift. Before we rush to chase our goals and dreams, we should take a moment to remember and feel gratitude. Many people are struggling just to wake up each morning, not knowing whether they'll see the sunrise again. Therefore, gratitude is the first step we must take. By focusing on what we have, not what we lack, we can start the day with a lighter heart and a clearer mind. When we realize how precious every second is, we begin to appreciate every moment, every laugh, every conversation, even every challenge that comes our way is part of this beautiful journey of life. Start today with gratitude and watch how your perspective of the world shifts, making each day more meaningful and peaceful. Second lesson. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is one of the most empowering lessons we can learn in life. The external world, with all its uncertainties and challenges, is often beyond our control. Events happen, sometimes unexpectedly, and sometimes even harshly. But what is truly in our control is our response to these events, and it all begins with our mind. Many of us fall into the trap of thinking that our happiness and peace depend on the outside world, on people, circumstances, or possessions. We believe that if we change these things, we will feel better, more at ease. But this idea is flawed. It is not the outside world that dictates how we feel. It is how we choose to interpret and react to the world around us. Your thoughts are within your control. Understanding this is the key to gaining strength and resilience. No matter what external challenges you face, your thoughts, emotions, and attitudes are within your control. This is the power you have. The external world may throw obstacles in your path, but how you face those challenges, how you interpret them, and how you allow them to affect your state of mind, that is yours to command. When you realize this, you unlock a source of inner strength that can carry you through even the most difficult times. The strength lies not in avoiding the storms of life, but in mastering how we weather them. If we allow ourselves to be swept away by outside events, we will always be at their mercy. But if we take charge of our mind, if we train ourselves to choose peace over panic, resilience over surrender, we find a source of power that no external force can take away. Third lesson. Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them. Think constantly on the changes of the elements into each other, for such thoughts wash away the dust of earthly life. In our busy lives, it's easy to get caught up in the rush of everyday tasks, challenges, and worries. But when we take a moment to pause and reflect on the beauty of life, we reconnect with something deeper: the stars above, the changing seasons, the cycles of nature. These things remind us of the vastness and wonder of existence. When we look up at the night sky and see the stars twinkling, imagine yourself running with them, moving through the universe, connected to all of creation. These moments, when we step out of our daily grind and into the magnificence of the world around us, offer us a sense of peace. They ground us, helping us to see that, despite the chaos of life, there is beauty in the simple things. Take time to appreciate the beauty and wonder of life. By reflecting on nature's majesty, we can find clarity and peace amidst the chaos. Nature holds within it a sense of timeless wisdom. The way the elements transform, water turning to clouds, clouds turning to rain, the earth being reborn through the seasons, shows us that change is constant and inevitable. Rather than resist or fear change, we can learn to embrace it. In moments of stillness, when we allow ourselves to fully appreciate the natural world, we gain clarity, our worries fade, and we find peace in the realization that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. By reflecting on the beauty and wonder of life, we wash away the dust of earthly concerns. In those quiet moments, we are reminded of the bigger picture and can regain our sense of balance, finding strength and calmness amidst the chaos. Fourth lesson. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. This lesson is a powerful reminder that our mindset directly influences how we experience life. We often think of external factors, our circumstances, the people around us, or even luck, as the key to our happiness. But the truth is, our thoughts are the foundation upon which our reality is built. What we think, we become. Our minds are like gardens, and the thoughts we plant are the seeds. If we nurture thoughts of gratitude, positivity, and love, we create a life that reflects those qualities. But if we allow negativity, fear, or resentment to take root, they will shape our experience of the world. The quality of our thoughts is the ultimate determinant of the quality of our lives. Our thoughts shape our reality. By cultivating a positive mindset, we can create a happier, more fulfilling life. Think of your thoughts as the lens through which you view the world. If you focus on the good, you will begin to see more of it in your life. If you dwell on the negative, that too will fill your experience. The power lies in choosing which thoughts we give energy to. By cultivating a positive mindset, we can shift our perspective, even in the face of challenges. This doesn't mean ignoring difficulties, but rather choosing to approach them with hope and resilience. When we change our thoughts, we change the way we move through the world. A positive mindset opens the door to opportunities, attracts meaningful connections, and helps us navigate life's ups and downs with grace. The happiness we seek is not found in external possessions or achievements, but in the way we think and the inner peace we cultivate within ourselves. Fifth lesson. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. In life, we are constantly bombarded with information, opinions, and perceptions from all directions. Whether it's the news, the people around us, or even our own inner thoughts, it's easy to assume that everything we hear or see is the absolute truth. But this lesson reminds us that what we hear is often shaped by personal biases, and what we see is filtered through our own perspective. This is a profound realization. It challenges us to question our assumptions and consider the source of the information we are receiving. Just because something is spoken by someone in authority, or because it aligns with our own beliefs, doesn't make it a fact. Similarly, what we see is influenced by our experiences, emotions, and mindset at that moment. What appears to be true from one vantage point may look completely different from another. Challenge your assumptions. Remember that what we perceive is often colored by our perspective, and truth may differ from person to person. When we challenge our assumptions, we open ourselves to deeper understanding. We begin to see that there is no one-size-fits-all truth. Each person's experience and perspective shape their reality in a unique way. This doesn't mean that objective truths don't exist. It simply means that our perception of reality is always filtered through the lens of our own experiences, emotions, and interpretations. By recognizing that our perspective is just one of many, we can approach situations with more empathy and open-mindedness. It allows us to listen more intently, engage in deeper conversations, and appreciate that everyone is seeing the world from their own point of view. In doing so, we enrich our understanding of others and expand our own view of the world. Sixth lesson: waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. How often do we debate what it means to be a good person? We spend time discussing virtues and ideals, but this lesson tells us to stop talking about it and simply be good. Rather than waiting for the perfect time or the perfect circumstances, we are called to live our values right now. Being a good person is not about endless discussion. It's about action. It's about showing kindness, integrity, and courage every day, not just talking about them. Instead of debating what we should do, we should focus on doing it. The world doesn't need more talk. It needs more examples of goodness in action. Rather than debating what it means to be good, let your actions speak for themselves. Be the change you wish to see in the world. If we want a kinder, more just world, we must embody those values ourselves. Our actions are the real measure of our character. When we focus on being good, we make a tangible impact on the world around us, creating the change we want to see. Seventh lesson: how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Anger can be a powerful emotion, but it often leads to consequences far worse than the initial trigger. In the heat of the moment, we may react impulsively, saying things we don't mean, or making decisions we later regret. The harm caused by our anger can linger far longer than the thing that provoked it. When we let anger take control, we risk damaging relationships, opportunities, and even our own peace of mind. The real cost of anger isn't the frustration or annoyance that sparked it, but the lasting impact it has on our lives and those around us. Anger often leads to consequences that far outweigh the initial cause. Practicing patience can prevent unnecessary harm. By practicing patience and learning to pause before reacting, we can avoid many of these harmful consequences. When we respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively, we protect ourselves and others from unnecessary hurt. Patience allows us to regain control over our emotions and make decisions that align with our values, rather than letting anger dictate our actions. Eighth lesson: the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. When we are wronged, it's natural to feel the urge for revenge, to want to balance the scales. But this lesson teaches us a different, higher path. True strength is not found in mirroring the harm done to us, but in rising above it. Seeking revenge only perpetuates negativity and ties us to the very behavior we condemn. Responding with integrity instead of retaliation allows us to break the cycle of harm. By refusing to stoop to the level of those who have wronged us, we not only protect our own character, but also set an example of what it means to act with dignity and grace. Instead of seeking revenge, rise above the negativity. Responding with integrity shows true strength of character. Choosing to respond with patience, forgiveness, or indifference takes courage. It shows that we value our principles more than fleeting satisfaction. Revenge may feel satisfying in the moment, but it often leads to regret and prolongs the pain. True strength lies in being true to yourself, maintaining your integrity, and walking away from the darkness others try to pull you into. Ninth lesson: accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. Life is a journey filled with unexpected turns, and we don't always have control over the circumstances we encounter or the people we meet along the way. This lesson encourages us to embrace what life offers rather than resist it. By accepting the path we are on, we find peace within ourselves, even in the face of challenges. Fate may bring us into situations or relationships we didn't plan for, but each holds an opportunity for growth, connection, and meaning. Instead of wishing for a different reality, we can choose to fully engage with the one we have, finding beauty and purpose in the present moment. Embrace the circumstances life presents and cherish the relationships you have. Acceptance and love bring peace. When we accept our circumstances and love those around us with our whole heart, we free ourselves from unnecessary frustration and longing. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It means making the most of what we have and appreciating the people fate has placed in our lives. Through this mindset, we cultivate gratitude, strengthen our relationships, and discover a deeper sense of contentment. 10th lesson. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Our thoughts are powerful. They shape not only our perspective on life, but also the very essence of who we are. Just as a fabric absorbs the color it is dipped into, our soul takes on the nature of the thoughts we consistently entertain. If our thoughts are negative, filled with anger, envy, or despair, these emotions seep into our character and influence our actions. But if we cultivate thoughts of kindness, gratitude, and virtue, our inner world becomes a reflection of those qualities. We begin to radiate positivity, not just to ourselves, but to everyone around us. It's a reminder that what we allow into our mind determines the kind of person we become. Our inner world shapes who we are. Positive, virtuous thoughts lead to a soul filled with goodness. To live a life of purpose and meaning, we must guard our thoughts carefully. Feed your mind with uplifting ideas. Reflect on what is noble and true, and let those thoughts guide your actions. By doing so, you can nurture a soul that is not only at peace, but also inspires others to find the same. 11th lesson. The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. In our pursuit of belonging, it's easy to follow the crowd without questioning where it's headed. We often feel pressure to conform, to align with popular opinions or trends, even when they may not align with our values or reason. But this lesson reminds us that the goal of life is not to blend into the majority, but to maintain clarity of thought and integrity, even if it means standing alone. History shows us that the majority is not always right. There have been times when entire societies embraced harmful beliefs or actions. To avoid falling into this, we must cultivate discernment. This means thinking critically, questioning the norms, and being guided by reason and virtue rather than the sway of public opinion. True wisdom lies in staying grounded in truth and rationality, even when the world around you seems to have lost its way. Living this way requires courage. It might mean going against the grain, speaking out when it's unpopular, or simply refusing to participate in what doesn't align with your values. But in doing so, you preserve your integrity and contribute to a more rational and just world. 12th lesson. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. This lesson offers a simple yet profound guide for living with integrity. In a world filled with complexity and distractions, it calls us back to the basics of right action and honest speech. These principles may seem straightforward, but they require self-awareness and discipline to follow consistently. Choosing not to do what is wrong means pausing to reflect before acting. It means asking ourselves, is this decision aligned with my values? Will this action bring harm to others or compromise my character? When we live by what is right, we foster trust, respect, and harmony in our relationships and within ourselves. Similarly, choosing not to say what is untrue reminds us of the power of our words. Falsehoods, even small ones, can create misunderstandings, erode trust, and damage our integrity. By speaking only what is true, we ensure that our words are a reflection of honesty and authenticity. Living with integrity requires vigilance, ensuring that our actions and words align with what is right and true. This principle might seem restrictive, but it's freeing. When we commit to right action and truthful speech, we no longer waste energy justifying poor choices or untangling lies. Instead, we cultivate a life of clarity, purpose, and peace. 13th lesson. Think of the life you have lived until now as over and as a dead man. See what's left as a bonus and live it according to nature. Love the hand that fate deals you and play it as your own. For what could be more fitting? This lesson invites us to reframe how we see our time on earth. Imagine that the life you've already lived is complete, as though it belongs to a past self. From this moment forward, every breath, every experience is a gift, a bonus that you've been granted. With this mindset, we can embrace life with a sense of urgency, gratitude, and purpose. Instead of clinging to regrets or worrying about the future, this perspective encourages us to align our lives with nature. That is, to live in harmony with the natural flow of events, to accept what comes, and to make the most of it. Life is not about controlling every outcome, but about embracing what is given to us and playing our part with grace. Love the hand that fate deals you and play it as your own. By loving our fate, our amor fati, we find peace in acceptance. Life will always present challenges, surprises, and difficulties. But how we respond defines who we are. When we stop resisting or wishing for different circumstances, we unlock the freedom to live fully and authentically. What could be more fitting than to live with courage, gratitude, and harmony with the life we have been gifted? 14th lesson. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. We often believe that happiness depends on external things, possessions, achievements, or circumstances. But this lesson reminds us that true happiness doesn't come from the outside. Instead, it's found within us, shaped by the way we think and perceive the world around us. Our thoughts have the power to transform our experiences. Two people can face the same situation, yet one finds joy while the other sees only difficulty. The difference lies in perspective. When we focus on gratitude, contentment, and the simple pleasures in life, we discover that happiness doesn't require much. Very little is needed to make a happy life. This doesn't mean we should ignore challenges or avoid striving for meaningful goals. Instead, it means recognizing that happiness is a choice we make daily, not a destination we arrive at after acquiring more or doing more. By cultivating a mindset of appreciation and focusing on what we can control, our attitude, we free ourselves from the constant pursuit of external validation. Happiness is not about having everything, but about appreciating the value of what we already have. By finding peace within ourselves, we unlock the ability to live a truly fulfilling and joyful life. 15th lesson. Let men see, let them know, a real man who lives as he was meant to live. This lesson challenges us to live authentically and with purpose. It's a call to embody the highest version of ourselves, to align our actions with our values, and to serve as an example for others. A real man, or a person of virtue, doesn't just talk about principles. They live them every day. To live as we are meant to live means acting in harmony with reason, integrity, and courage. It means facing challenges with resilience, treating others with kindness, and standing firm in what is right, even when it's difficult. A life of purpose is not defined by external success, but by how well we embody the virtues that matter most. Let men see what it means to live a life of principle and meaning. By living this way, we inspire others to rise to their potential. We show them that it's possible to live with dignity and honor, regardless of the circumstances. Our actions can light the way for those around us, demonstrating the power of living as we are meant to, not for fleeting pleasures or recognition, but for something deeper, something lasting. When we live with authenticity and purpose, we not only fulfill our own potential, but also leave a legacy that inspires others to do the same. 16th lesson. Try praying differently and see what happens. Instead of asking for a way to sleep with her, try asking for a way to stop desiring to sleep with her. Instead of a way to get rid of him, try asking for a way to not crave his demise. Instead of a way to not lose my child, try asking for a way to lose my fear of it. This lesson encourages us to shift our perspective on desire, fear, and control. Often, when we pray, or even just reflect on our desires, we focus on changing external circumstances, gaining what we want, avoiding what we fear, or eliminating obstacles. But this approach keeps us trapped in a cycle of dependency on things we can't control. Instead, we are invited to turn inward and address the root of these struggles, our attachments and aversions. Instead of asking for desires to be fulfilled, we can ask for the strength to release them. Instead of seeking freedom from threats, we can ask for freedom from the fear they evoke. This approach transforms how we engage with the challenges of life. True peace comes not from changing the world around us, but from changing the way we relate to it. By focusing on inner transformation, we reclaim our power. We stop being at the mercy of external forces and instead cultivate resilience, clarity, and self-mastery. This shift in perspective allows us to face life with calm and courage, knowing that our happiness and peace lie within our control, not in the outcomes of our desires or fears. 17th lesson. The memory of everything is very soon overwhelmed in time. This lesson reminds us of the fleeting nature of life and memory. No matter how significant something may seem in the moment, our accomplishments, failures, joys, or sorrows, it will eventually be forgotten. Time moves forward relentlessly, erasing even the most powerful events and lives from memory. At first, this idea might feel unsettling, even sobering. But there is great wisdom in understanding this impermanence. It allows us to let go of our attachment to things that don't truly matter. The worries we hold on to, the grudges we nurse, or the pride we take in fleeting achievements. They all lose their weight when viewed through the lens of time. If everything fades, what remains important is how we live in the present. This knowledge frees us to focus on what truly matters, living a life of purpose, kindness, and integrity in the here and now. Instead of chasing recognition or obsessing over temporary concerns, we can invest in the things that bring lasting meaning, relationships, virtue, and personal growth. Time may erase our individual memories, but the way we live today has the power to ripple outward, influencing others and shaping the world long after we are gone. So, let this impermanence inspire us to live fully, without fear or regret, knowing that what truly matters is how we spend this moment. 18th lesson. Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours. This lesson is a reminder to focus on gratitude rather than desire. It's easy to become preoccupied with what we lack, whether it's material possessions, status, or achievements, and to believe that happiness lies in acquiring what we don't have. But in doing so, we miss the blessings right in front of us. Instead of dreaming about what you don't possess, take a moment to reflect on what you already have. Consider the people, health, opportunities, and simple joys that enrich your life. These blessings, which we often take for granted, are treasures that many others long for. Gratitude shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance. By acknowledging the value of what we already possess, we develop a deeper sense of contentment. And when we remember how much we would miss these things if they were taken from us, we cultivate appreciation and peace. This perspective doesn't mean we shouldn't strive for improvement or growth, but it reminds us that true happiness lies in appreciating the present moment. So, instead of longing for what we don't have, let us embrace what we do with gratitude, knowing that life is richer when we cherish the blessings before us. 19th lesson. I have learned to read with diligence, not to rest satisfied with a light and superficial knowledge, nor quickly to assent to things commonly spoken of. This lesson emphasizes the importance of critical thinking and deep learning. In today's world, it's easy to skim through information, accepting what we hear or read without questioning it. We're bombarded with opinions, facts, and headlines, many of which are superficial or misleading. However, true wisdom comes from a deeper, more thoughtful approach to knowledge. Reading with diligence means engaging with content, not just to pass the time or check off tasks, but with the intent to understand, analyze, and learn. It involves questioning assumptions, seeking deeper insights, and not settling for quick answers or common beliefs. This approach cultivates a mind that is sharp, discerning, and capable of forming its own conclusions. Do not rest satisfied with superficial knowledge. To grow intellectually, we must be willing to challenge the surface-level understanding and invest the time and energy required for deeper exploration. This might mean going beyond headlines, reading critically, and engaging with ideas that may be unfamiliar or uncomfortable. By doing so, we develop a richer and more accurate understanding of the world around us. In a society that often values speed over depth, this lesson encourages us to take the time to read, reflect, and truly understand, cultivating wisdom that is grounded in thoughtfulness and discernment. 20th lesson. You shouldn't give circumstances the power to rouse anger, for they don't care at all. This lesson teaches us the importance of emotional self-control and the futility of allowing external circumstances to dictate our emotional state. In life, we inevitably face situations that we find frustrating, unfair, or upsetting. It's natural to feel anger in response to these circumstances, but this lesson reminds us that our anger does not change the situation. It only harms us. Circumstances, whether they're the actions of others or unforeseen events, are indifferent. They have no personal stake in how we respond to them. If we allow ourselves to be consumed by anger, we give away our power, allowing something outside of us to control our emotions. Anger serves no purpose but to cloud our judgment and harm our peace of mind. Instead of reacting with anger, we can choose to respond with calmness and reason. By doing so, we regain control over our emotions and maintain our inner peace. This doesn't mean suppressing valid feelings or ignoring injustices, but rather, it's about not letting anger dictate our actions or cause us unnecessary distress. When we refuse to let circumstances rouse anger, we strengthen our ability to stay grounded, focused, and at peace, regardless of what is happening around us. 21st lesson. It is the responsibility of leadership to work intelligently with what is given, and not waste time fantasizing about a world of flawless people and perfect choices. Leadership is not about wishing for ideal circumstances or perfect teams. It's about navigating reality with wisdom, pragmatism, and adaptability. The truth is, we live in an imperfect world filled with flawed individuals, limited resources, and complex challenges. A good leader accepts this reality and focuses on making the best of what they have. Instead of lamenting what's missing or idealizing what could be, effective leaders direct their energy toward solutions. They work with the people and tools available, recognizing that perfection is not the goal. Progress is. By doing so, they inspire trust and create an environment where growth and resilience can thrive. Leadership requires intelligence, not fantasy. This lesson is also a reminder to embrace the human element of leadership. No one is perfect. Not our colleagues, not those we serve, and not even ourselves. A leader's role is to harness strengths, address weaknesses, and make informed decisions, even when options are less than ideal. By accepting imperfection and focusing on what is within their control, true leaders demonstrate wisdom and effectiveness, paving the way for meaningful results in an imperfect world. 22nd lesson. The mind freed from passions is an impenetrable fortress. A person has no more secure place of refuge for all time. This lesson speaks to the unmatched strength and resilience of a mind that is calm and disciplined. When we free ourselves from the grip of destructive passions, such as anger, fear, envy, or uncontrolled desires, we create a sanctuary within ourselves that nothing external can penetrate or disturb. Think of the mind as a fortress. If its walls are weak, any external force, a harsh word, a stressful situation, or an unexpected setback, can break through and leave us vulnerable. But when the mind is fortified with reason, self-control, and clarity, it becomes impenetrable. No external circumstance can shake the peace and stability that comes from within. True security lies not in the outside world, but in mastering our inner world. Achieving this level of mental strength requires practice. It involves recognizing our passions and learning to manage them rather than letting them control us. It doesn't mean suppressing emotions, but understanding them, channeling them wisely, and remaining grounded even in the face of challenges. When we cultivate this inner refuge, we carry it with us wherever we go. In a chaotic world, this fortress of the mind is the one place we can always rely on for strength, clarity, and peace. 23rd lesson. That cucumber is bitter, so toss it out. There are thorns on the path, then keep away. Enough said. Why ponder the existence of nuisance? This lesson highlights the simplicity and practicality of addressing life's challenges. Often, when faced with inconveniences or annoyances, we dwell on them far longer than necessary. We analyze, complain, or question why such nuisances exist, which only adds unnecessary frustration to the situation. If a cucumber is bitter, the solution is simple. Don't eat it. If there are thorns in your way, find another path or step around them. Dwelling on why these things exist or lamenting their presence serves no purpose and only robs us of peace. Why waste energy on things that don't deserve it? This principle encourages us to focus on what we can control, our actions and responses. Life is full of inconveniences, big and small, but how we choose to handle them defines the quality of our experience. Rather than fixating on the problem, we should direct our energy toward practical solutions and move forward. By adopting this mindset, we free ourselves from unnecessary negativity and cultivate a sense of clarity and resilience. Life becomes lighter when we learn to let go of what doesn't serve us and deal with challenges simply and effectively. 24th lesson. A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. This lesson speaks to the profound connection between what we aim for in life and the value of who we become. Our ambitions are a reflection of our character, values, and priorities. If our goals are shallow, centered on fleeting pleasures, material gain, or superficial recognition, then our worth as individuals may be equally transient and superficial. However, if our ambitions are noble, aiming for growth, contribution, and virtue, we elevate our worth. Pursuing meaningful goals shapes us into people of substance, inspiring us to rise above mediocrity and align our actions with something greater than ourselves. Ambition is a compass that points to the life we are building. This lesson challenges us to reflect on what we are striving for. Are our ambitions grounded in ego or rooted in purpose? Are we driven by external validation or by a desire to make a positive impact? By aligning our ambitions with our highest values, we not only achieve personal fulfillment, but also contribute meaningfully to the world. Ultimately, a person's worth is not measured by their achievements alone, but by the depth and integrity of the ambitions that guided them there. Aim high, and let your aspirations be a testament to the person you strive to become. 25th lesson. Let each thing you would do, say, or intend be like that of a dying person. This lesson urges us to live with a sense of urgency and purpose, as if each action, word, or thought might be our last. While it may seem daunting to think this way, it is, in fact, a liberating perspective. When we remember the inevitability of death, we are inspired to focus on what truly matters, shedding distractions and trivial concerns. A dying person doesn't waste time on grudges, petty arguments, or meaningless pursuits. They prioritize connection, love, and authenticity. They value moments over material things and seek peace over conflict. Living with this mindset can transform how we approach our daily lives, encouraging us to act with integrity, speak with kindness, and be intentional in all that we do. Life becomes more vivid and meaningful when we remember its brevity. This isn't about living in fear of death, but about embracing its reality to guide us toward a life well lived. When we act as though each decision could be our last, we naturally align ourselves with our highest values. We become more present, more grateful, and more courageous in the face of challenges. Let this lesson remind us: life is precious, and time is finite. Live intentionally, love deeply, and let each moment reflect the best of who you are. 26th lesson. The best answer to anger is silence. This lesson reminds us that anger, whether it comes from within us or from someone else, is best met with calm and restraint. Anger often seeks to provoke a reaction, but by responding with silence, we deny it the fuel it needs to grow. Silence is not weakness. It's strength. It creates space for reflection and de-escalation. In moments of anger, words spoken hastily or harshly can cause harm that's difficult to undo. By staying silent, we prevent ourselves from saying or doing something we might regret. Silence is a powerful tool for preserving peace. When confronted with someone else's anger, silence can also disarm them, instead of feeding into their emotions with retaliation. Silence provides a pause that can shift the energy of the interaction. It communicates self-control and wisdom, showing that we refuse to be dragged into negativity. This doesn't mean suppressing our feelings or avoiding important conversations. It means choosing the right moment and the right words. Once anger has passed, to address the issue constructively. Silence in the heat of the moment allows us to maintain clarity and act with intention rather than impulse. In a world where anger often dominates, let this lesson remind us of the quiet power of silence. It's a simple but profound way to maintain dignity, composure, and peace. 27th lesson. Give thyself leisure to learn some good thing, and cease roving and wandering to and fro. This lesson encourages us to slow down and focus on meaningful growth, rather than endlessly searching for external distractions or fleeting pleasures. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the constant movement of life, whether it's through busy schedules, social media, or the pursuit of material things. But true fulfillment comes when we take time to learn and develop ourselves in ways that add lasting value. Leisure for learning doesn't mean idleness. It means dedicating time to nurturing our minds and souls. It's about finding the stillness to reflect, to absorb wisdom, and to grow in understanding. Rather than wandering aimlessly from one activity to the next, we should invest in learning something meaningful, whether it's a new skill, a deeper understanding of the world, or a cultivation of virtue. By giving ourselves the gift of focused learning, we create a foundation for lasting progress and satisfaction. Every moment spent learning is an investment in ourselves. It adds depth to our lives and helps us align our actions with our higher values. Let this lesson serve as a reminder to break free from the distractions that lead us nowhere. Instead, prioritize the pursuit of wisdom, knowledge, and personal growth, and in doing so, enrich your life in ways that truly matter. 28th lesson. Because a thing seems difficult for you, do not think it impossible. This lesson speaks to the importance of perseverance and perspective when facing challenges. It's easy to look at a difficult task or goal and immediately convince ourselves that it's beyond our reach, especially when it seems overwhelming. But just because something is hard doesn't mean it is impossible. Often, the most rewarding accomplishments come from those things that initially appear daunting. The difficulty we feel is simply a sign that growth, learning, and effort are required. It's natural to encounter obstacles along the way, but with determination and resilience, even the hardest challenges can be overcome. Difficulty is not the same as impossibility. The key is not to let the difficulty discourage us. Instead, we must break down the challenge into smaller, manageable steps. Focus on progress rather than perfection, and trust in our ability to grow through adversity. Every difficult task is an opportunity to strengthen our skills, build resilience, and expand our capabilities. Remember, Many of the greatest achievements in history were once thought to be impossible. What others might have deemed unachievable was made possible by those who refused to give up simply because something seemed difficult. Let this lesson remind us, just because something is hard doesn't mean it's out of reach. Embrace the challenge, and you might just discover your own hidden strength. 29th lesson. You have been formed of 3 parts: body, breath, and mind. Of these, the first 2 are yours insofar as they are only in your care. The third alone is truly yours. This lesson offers a profound understanding of the nature of our existence. It reminds us that while our body and breath are integral parts of us, they are ultimately transient and subject to change. Our body is temporary. It ages, it gets sick, and eventually, it will fade. The breath, too, is fleeting. Each inhalation and exhalation is momentary, a constant cycle over which we have limited control. However, the mind, our thoughts, our will, and our consciousness is the one true part of ourselves that is entirely within our domain. Our mind is where our freedom resides. It is the source of our choices, our beliefs, and our inner peace. The mind is not bound by external circumstances or the limitations of the body and breath. True ownership lies in the mind. This realization calls us to take responsibility for our thoughts and actions, to cultivate wisdom and virtue, and to recognize the power of the mind to shape our experience of life. The body and breath may be beyond our control in many ways, but the mind is where we can find true freedom. By nurturing and mastering the mind, we align ourselves with our highest purpose. No matter what happens to the body or breath, the mind remains our true and unshakable possession. 30th lesson. Don't return to philosophy as a taskmaster, but as patients seek out relief in a treatment of sore eyes, or a dressing for a burn, or from an ointment. Regarding it this way, you'll obey reason without putting it on display, and rest easy in its care. This lesson encourages us to approach philosophy not as a rigid set of rules or burdensome tasks, but as a source of healing and guidance for the soul. Just as a patient seeks out relief from physical ailments, we should turn to philosophy for the peace and clarity it can offer in times of confusion or distress. Philosophy, when understood correctly, should not feel like a chore or a demand placed upon us. It's meant to provide us with practical wisdom, something we can turn to in moments of struggle or uncertainty. Much like applying ointment to a burn or soothing sore eyes, philosophy can offer relief, helping us navigate life's challenges with reason and composure. Philosophy is a tool for healing, not for display. By adopting this mindset, we can free ourselves from the pressure of trying to live up to an idealized image of philosophical perfection. Instead, we can use philosophy as a personal guide, one that nurtures us and helps us grow. There is no need to flaunt our understanding or impose it on others. The true value of philosophy lies in its quiet application to our own lives, in the way it helps us live with greater peace, virtue, and understanding. Let this lesson remind us, philosophy is not a burden to bear, but a balm for the soul, a gentle guide that leads us toward living with reason, balance, and calm. 31st lesson. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. This lesson encourages us to focus on the present moment, rather than worrying about what lies ahead. It's natural to feel anxious about the future, especially when we face uncertainty or challenges. But worrying about what might happen is ultimately unproductive. The future is shaped by the choices we make today, and by using reason, just as we do now, we are equipped to handle whatever comes our way. The key message here is that the tools we need to face the future are already within us. The same reasoning and wisdom that guide us through today's problems will be just as effective when we encounter challenges tomorrow. There's no need to fear or overthink what we cannot control. Instead, we should trust in our ability to adapt, think critically, and act wisely when the time comes. Today's strength is tomorrow's solution. When we face challenges in the present with reason and clarity, we are preparing ourselves for the future, even if we don't know what it holds. Rather than being disturbed by what we cannot foresee, we can find comfort in knowing that we are capable of facing it with the tools we already possess. Let this lesson serve as a reminder to live in the present, embrace the challenges of today with reason, and trust that the future will be met with the same wisdom that we cultivate now. 32nd lesson. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing, because an artful life requires being prepared to meet and withstand sudden and unexpected attacks. This lesson compares life to wrestling rather than dancing, highlighting the need for resilience and preparedness. While dancing is graceful and controlled, life often presents us with unexpected challenges that require strength, adaptability, and endurance. Just like in wrestling, we must be ready to face setbacks, difficulties, and moments of conflict. Life is unpredictable, and we can't always anticipate what will come next. In wrestling, opponents often strike when you least expect it, and victory depends on your ability to stay grounded, respond swiftly, and maintain your balance. Similarly, in life, challenges can emerge suddenly, whether they come in the form of personal loss, unexpected obstacles, or emotional turbulence. The key to navigating these moments is not to avoid them, but to prepare ourselves mentally and emotionally to face them head-on. Resilience is the key to surviving life's challenges. Living an artful life doesn't mean avoiding conflict or always being in control. It means developing the ability to handle adversity with strength, patience, and grace. We must cultivate the mental and emotional resilience to face life's trials, knowing that even when we are knocked down, we have the strength to rise again. This lesson reminds us that life requires preparation, adaptability, and the inner strength to meet challenges as they come. Like a wrestler, we must be ready for the unexpected and stand firm when faced with adversity. 33rd lesson. No random actions, none not based on underlying principles. This lesson emphasizes the importance of living intentionally, with every action guided by thoughtful reasoning and a solid foundation of principles. In life, it's easy to get caught up in impulsive behaviors or to act without considering the bigger picture. However, when we act randomly or without purpose, we risk losing direction and drifting through life rather than living with intention and clarity. Every action we take should be aligned with our core values and the principles we believe in. Whether it's a small decision or a major life choice, we must ensure that it is based on something meaningful, on the understanding of what is truly important to us and to those around us. Acting with purpose allows us to navigate life's challenges with greater focus and integrity, knowing that each step we take brings us closer to our true goals. Principles ground us and give direction to our actions. By grounding our actions in solid principles, whether they be honesty, kindness, fairness, or resilience, we ensure that we are not merely reacting to life's circumstances, but actively shaping our lives in a way that reflects our deepest values. This approach brings clarity and consistency to our lives, enabling us to handle difficult situations with wisdom and to lead with authenticity. Let this lesson serve as a reminder to evaluate every action, word, and decision through the lens of our core beliefs. When we live according to principles, we bring meaning and purpose to everything we do. 34th lesson. Keep a list before your mind of those who burned with anger and resentment about something, of even the most renowned for success, misfortune, evil deeds, or any special distinction. Then ask yourself, how did that work out? Smoke and dust, the stuff of simple myth trying to be legend. This lesson encourages us to reflect on the transient nature of anger, resentment, and the pursuit of external recognition. History is filled with individuals who, at one point, were consumed by anger or driven by a desire for fame, success, or revenge. Yet, when we look back on their stories, we often see that these emotions and ambitions lead to little more than frustration and bitterness, or At best, fleeting success. Whether someone was renowned for their achievements or their wrongdoings, the lasting impact of their anger or ambitions is often minimal. In the grand scheme of life, the things that once seemed so important, the grudges held, the desires for recognition, often fade away like smoke or dust, leaving little trace behind. Anger and resentment are temporary. True wisdom is timeless. This realization calls us to let go of petty grievances and to question the value of seeking glory or revenge. Instead of burning with negative emotions, we can choose to live with clarity and peace. In the end, the things that matter most are not the fleeting moments of anger or the external honors we receive, but the way we live with integrity and wisdom. Let this lesson remind us that those consumed by anger or the quest for fame eventually become stories of the past, like smoke or dust. It is the quiet and steady pursuit of virtue and wisdom that endures. 35th lesson. Whenever someone has done wrong by you, immediately consider what notion of good or evil they had in doing it. For when you see that, you'll feel compassion instead of astonishment or rage. This lesson teaches us to approach wrongdoing, not with anger or surprise, but with understanding and compassion. It's easy to feel hurt or enraged when someone wrongs us, but often, the actions of others are driven by their own distorted perceptions of right and wrong. Their behavior may stem from their own fears, insecurities, or ignorance, rather than malice toward us personally. By considering the intentions or beliefs that led someone to act in a harmful way, we can shift our perspective. Instead of focusing on the injustice of the action, we can understand that the person may have been guided by their own misguided sense of good. This shift allows us to see the situation more clearly, without being clouded by our own emotional reactions. Compassion replaces rage with understanding. When we view the wrongdoer through the lens of empathy, we can cultivate compassion rather than anger. This doesn't mean excusing their behavior, but rather recognizing that their actions are a reflection of their own struggles. Compassion allows us to respond with grace and wisdom, avoiding the destructive cycle of resentment and anger. Let this lesson serve as a reminder to pause before reacting to wrongdoing. By considering the underlying beliefs or circumstances that led to someone's actions, we can replace our anger with understanding and respond with greater wisdom and kindness. 36th lesson. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. This lesson is a powerful reminder that much of the harm we experience is not necessarily in the event itself, but in how we choose to interpret and respond to it. While we cannot always control what happens to us, we have the power to choose how we react to it. Harm, in many ways, is not an objective reality, but a subjective experience. It's shaped by our own perceptions and emotional responses. When we decide not to internalize the actions of others or the difficulties we face, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. The key here is not to deny our feelings or suppress our emotions, but to recognize that we have the power to shape our reactions. If we refuse to let an action or an event define us or cause us harm, then, in essence, we haven't been harmed at all. Emotional freedom lies in our response. This mindset allows us to reclaim our inner peace and avoid becoming victims of external circumstances. By taking ownership of our emotional responses, we protect our well-being and maintain our sense of dignity. We are no longer at the mercy of what others do or say. Instead, we are empowered to choose how we feel and respond. Let this lesson remind us that harm is often a choice. Our choice to accept or reject how we interpret events. By choosing not to be harmed, we preserve our peace, our clarity, and our strength. 37th lesson. Stay calm and serene regardless of what life throws at you. This lesson encourages us to maintain inner peace in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Life is unpredictable, and no one is exempt from hardship or adversity. Whether we encounter personal loss, failure, unexpected change, or even conflict with others, it's easy to become overwhelmed by emotions. However, The true strength lies in how we choose to respond to these events. Staying calm and serene doesn't mean avoiding or suppressing our emotions. It means acknowledging them without letting them control us. When we maintain composure, we are better equipped to make thoughtful decisions, to act with wisdom, and to remain connected to our values, even in difficult times. Serenity in the storm. Cultivating this calmness is not about being indifferent to the circumstances, but about mastering our internal response to them. When we stay calm, we prevent external events from disturbing our inner peace. It's like standing firm against a storm. Though the wind may howl and the rain may pour, we remain grounded, clear-headed, and steady. This lesson reminds us that peace is not found in avoiding challenges, but in responding to them with a serene and composed mind. When we practice staying calm amidst the chaos, we build resilience and strength, allowing us to navigate even the most difficult moments with grace. 38th lesson. Kindness is invincible, but only when it's sincere, with no hypocrisy or faking. For what can even the most malicious person do if you keep showing kindness and, if given the chance, you gently point out where they went wrong, right as they are trying to harm you? This lesson highlights the immense power of genuine kindness, especially when it is unshaken by negativity or malice. It teaches us that real kindness is not a passive or weak response, but an active, courageous choice to remain good-hearted and authentic, even in the face of hostility. The key to this is sincerity. Kindness is most powerful when it is genuine and not motivated by ulterior motives or the expectation of return. When we remain kind and composed, especially in challenging situations, we disarm the negativity around us. If someone tries to harm us with their words or actions, responding with true kindness can often leave them confused or disarmed. It's difficult for malice to persist in the presence of a steady, unwavering kindness, and often, such a response can make the aggressor reflect on their actions. True kindness breaks the cycle of hostility. Moreover, when the opportunity arises, pointing out the wrongness of someone's behavior in a calm and compassionate manner can provide them with a chance for growth, without further escalating the conflict. By offering kindness and guidance, we not only protect our own peace, but might even inspire change in others. This lesson teaches us that kindness, when it comes from a place of sincerity, is not only powerful, but invincible. It can withstand the harshest of circumstances and even transform the very situations that are meant to harm us. 39th lesson. How much time he gains who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only at what he does himself, to make it just and holy. This lesson encourages us to focus on our own actions and inner integrity, rather than being preoccupied with what others are doing, saying, or thinking. In a world full of distractions and external influences, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters: our own character and our ability to live according to our values. When we spend too much time worrying about others, whether it's their opinions, behaviors, or judgments, we waste precious energy that could be better spent on our own growth and well-being. The more we look outwardly, the more we allow external factors to influence our peace of mind and our actions. But when we focus on doing what is just and holy within ourselves, we gain not only clarity, but also a sense of fulfillment and control over our lives. Time is our most valuable resource. By keeping our attention on what we can control, our own choices, actions, and intentions, we are able to make better decisions and live more authentically. This focus leads to greater peace, as we are no longer concerned with comparing ourselves to others or seeking approval. Instead, we measure our success by the alignment of our actions with our principles and values. This lesson teaches us that by turning our attention inward and focusing on what we can do to improve and act justly, we gain time and energy to build a more meaningful, righteous life. 40th lesson. If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed. It is the person who continues in his self-deception and ignorance who is harmed. This lesson teaches us the importance of humility and openness to change. The pursuit of truth should be our highest aim, and if someone can reveal to us that our beliefs or actions are misguided, we should embrace that opportunity for growth rather than resist it. Truth is not something to be feared, but something to be welcomed, as it brings clarity and freedom. It's easy to become attached to our own perspectives or behaviors, especially when we've invested time or effort in them. However, clinging to false beliefs or actions out of pride or stubbornness only leads to harm, both to ourselves and to others. It is in accepting that we may be wrong, in letting go of our self-deceptions, that we allow ourselves to evolve and improve. True growth comes from embracing correction. When we seek truth above all else, we stop fearing the correction of others. Instead, we see it as a gift, an opportunity to become better, wiser, and more aligned with what is right. In this way, those who refuse to change out of pride or ignorance are the ones who remain trapped, causing harm to themselves by holding on to falsehoods. This lesson reminds us that the path to wisdom is not one of rigid certainty, but of openness and a continual willingness to learn. When we embrace the truth, we can grow in ways that protect us from the harm of ignorance and self-deception. 41st lesson. Dig deep within yourself, for there is a fountain of goodness ever ready to flow if you will keep digging. This lesson reminds us of the untapped potential for goodness within each of us. We all have a reservoir of virtues, wisdom, and strength buried deep inside, waiting to be discovered and expressed. But often, we get caught up in the surface-level aspects of life, our daily struggles, distractions, or the noise of the world, preventing us from accessing this inner well of goodness. The process of digging deep involves self-reflection, introspection, and a commitment to personal growth. It requires us to look beyond our immediate thoughts and feelings, to the deeper layers of our being, where we find compassion, integrity, and wisdom. The more we cultivate this inner space, the more we unlock the flow of positive energy that guides our actions and decisions. Goodness within is a wellspring of strength. This well of goodness is not limited. It is inexhaustible. As we continue to dig through self-awareness, mindfulness, and intentional living, we discover more of the depth of our own character. By nurturing it, we allow this goodness to flow into our actions, our relationships, and our world. The lesson teaches us that no matter the external circumstances, we always have the ability to tap into our inner source of goodness. It is a never-ending fountain, ready to flow if we continue to dig and discover more of who we truly are. Let this lesson inspire us to keep digging within, knowing that the deeper we go, the more we connect with the goodness that lies within us, waiting to guide our path. 42nd lesson. All you need are these: certainty of judgment in the present moment, action for the common good in the present moment, and an attitude of gratitude in the present moment for anything that comes your way. This lesson emphasizes the importance of focusing on the present moment, grounding our actions in clarity, purpose, and gratitude. Often, we get caught up in worrying about the past or fearing the future, but true wisdom and fulfillment are found in fully engaging with the present. Certainty of judgment in the present moment means making decisions based on the knowledge and understanding we have now, rather than being influenced by uncertainty, doubt, or external pressures. Trusting our judgment in the present allows us to move forward with confidence, knowing that we are acting in accordance with our values and reason. Action for the common good in the present moment encourages us to take purposeful, selfless action. Rather than focusing on personal gain or isolated achievements, we should consider how our actions can benefit others and contribute to the greater good. By acting with a sense of collective responsibility, we align ourselves with a higher purpose, creating positive impact in the world around us. An attitude of gratitude in the present moment is about embracing everything life brings us, whether it's good or challenging. Gratitude shifts our perspective, allowing us to see the value in every experience and helping us stay grounded even during tough times. This mindset of appreciation helps us stay connected to the present moment and recognize the opportunities that come our way. In essence, this lesson teaches us that with clarity in our judgments, selfless action for the greater good, and a grateful heart, we can live a life of purpose and peace, no matter what circumstances arise. 43rd lesson. It is essential for you to remember that the attention you give to any action should be in due proportion to its worth, for then you won't tire and give up if you aren't busying yourself with lesser things beyond what should be allowed. This lesson emphasizes the importance of prioritizing our time, energy, and focus on actions that truly matter, rather than getting distracted by trivial tasks or unimportant concerns. In life, we often face a multitude of responsibilities and opportunities, but not all of them are of equal significance. It's crucial to assess the value of each action and determine how much attention it deserves. When we give too much energy to minor tasks or unimportant distractions, we risk draining ourselves mentally and emotionally. This can lead to burnout or frustration, as we spread ourselves too thin and fail to invest enough in what truly aligns with our values or goals. Focus on what truly matters. By focusing on the actions that bring real value, whether it's personal growth, meaningful relationships, or contributing to the greater good, we ensure that our efforts are aligned with our higher purpose. This approach helps us conserve our energy and stay motivated, knowing that we are investing our time wisely. Additionally, this lesson teaches us the importance of balance. While small tasks are part of life, we should not let them dominate our attention to the point of neglecting what truly requires our effort and care. By applying due proportion to everything we do, we can remain focused and energized, moving steadily toward our most meaningful goals. This lesson encourages us to assess our priorities and dedicate our attention to the actions that truly matter, ensuring that we avoid distractions and remain purposeful in our efforts. 44th lesson. Don't be ashamed of needing help. You have a duty to fulfill just like a soldier on the wall of battle. So what if you are injured and can't climb up without another soldier's help? This lesson highlights the importance of humility and the recognition that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but rather a necessary part of fulfilling our responsibilities. We all face challenges that might leave us feeling overwhelmed or incapable of moving forward on our own. But just as a soldier in battle might need the assistance of a comrade to continue fighting, we too can rely on others when we are in need. Help is a natural part of our journey. In life, no one is meant to go through their struggles alone. Each of us has moments when we need support, guidance, or assistance from others. Whether it's physical help, emotional support, or advice, reaching out to others is not a shameful act, but a wise one. Recognizing that we cannot do everything by ourselves allows us to stay focused on our duties and responsibilities, knowing that we are not alone in our journey. The lesson also teaches us that our duty is not diminished when we ask for help. Rather, it is preserved. A soldier who asks for help to climb the wall does not lose his honor. Instead, he ensures that he can continue fulfilling his role in the battle. In the same way, when we seek help in times of need, we preserve our ability to continue contributing to the greater good, rather than risking exhaustion or failure by trying to do everything alone. Asking for help is an act of wisdom, not weakness. This lesson encourages us to embrace vulnerability, accept the help we need, and keep moving forward with strength and resilience. By understanding that seeking support does not diminish us, but rather strengthens our ability to fulfill our duties, we become better equipped to face whatever challenges lie ahead. 45th lesson. Whatever anyone does or says, for my part, I'm bound to the good. In the same way, an emerald or gold or purple might always proclaim, whatever anyone does or says, I must be what I am and show my true colors. This lesson teaches us the importance of remaining true to our values and principles, regardless of external circumstances or the actions of others. Just as an emerald is bound to its green hue or gold to its luster, we too are bound to act in accordance with our inner goodness and integrity. Our true nature, Our character, values, and purpose should not be swayed by the opinions, judgments, or actions of those around us. Be unwavering in your commitment to the good. Life may present challenges, conflicts, or temptations to compromise our beliefs, but true strength lies in our ability to remain anchored in what is right, just, and virtuous. This lesson invites us to cultivate a sense of steadfastness, much like precious stones that cannot change their nature no matter what happens around them. We must proudly show our true colors, living in alignment with our principles, no matter how the world may shift around us. When we remain true to ourselves, regardless of the external noise, we inspire others to do the same. Our actions reflect our deepest convictions, and through them, we contribute to the common good. Just as an emerald doesn't try to be anything other than what it is, we too must embrace who we are at our core and live authentically. True character shines through, unshaken by external forces. This lesson reminds us that our integrity is not something to be altered or compromised based on external pressures. By staying true to our values and doing what is good, we live a life of purpose and authenticity, no matter what anyone else does or says. 46th lesson. The first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are. This lesson teaches us two essential practices for living a peaceful and wise life. The first rule, keep an untroubled spirit, encourages us to maintain inner calm, no matter the circumstances. Life is full of challenges and unpredictabilities, but we are not obligated to let them disturb our peace of mind. By cultivating emotional resilience and focusing on what we can control, our reactions and responses, we can navigate life's difficulties without allowing them to unsettle us. Having an untroubled spirit doesn't mean avoiding or suppressing our emotions, but rather learning to respond to them with composure. This inner peace comes from understanding that our external world is often beyond our control, but our internal world, the way we choose to think, feel, and act, is always within our power. The second rule, look things in the face and know them for what they are, urges us to face reality with clarity and objectivity. It is easy to become swayed by fear, assumptions, or distorted perceptions, but true wisdom comes from confronting situations as they are, without judgment or denial. This involves recognizing the truth of our circumstances and accepting them for what they are, whether we like them or not. Clarity and acceptance lead to wisdom. By combining these two principles, maintaining an untroubled spirit and facing things honestly, we gain the ability to respond to life with wisdom and calmness. Instead of reacting impulsively or becoming overwhelmed by challenges, we can meet them with a clear mind and an open heart. This approach allows us to make decisions rooted in reality, not influenced by fear or emotional turbulence. In essence, this lesson encourages us to cultivate both peace within ourselves and clarity in our perceptions. By doing so, we can navigate life with greater wisdom, composure, and effectiveness. 47th lesson. Pass through this brief patch of time in harmony with nature and come to your final resting place gracefully, just as a ripened olive might drop, praising the earth that nourished it and grateful to the tree that gave it growth. This lesson is a poetic reminder of the transient nature of life and the importance of living it in alignment with nature and with gratitude. Life, like the ripening of an olive, is a process that unfolds naturally over time. To live harmoniously with nature means to accept the flow of life, embracing its joys and challenges without resistance. It calls for living authentically, with virtue, and in tune with the universal order. Life is brief, but it is also beautiful. This brief patch of time we have is precious. Instead of resisting the inevitability of life's cycles, growth, maturity, and decline, we are encouraged to find peace in the natural rhythms of existence. By living with grace and mindfulness, we can approach the end of our lives not with fear, but with a sense of fulfillment and gratitude. The imagery of the ripened olive dropping gracefully symbolizes a life well lived. The olive does not cling to the branch in desperation or fall with regret. It accepts its time to drop, acknowledging the earth that sustained it and the tree that nurtured it. Similarly, we should honor the forces that have shaped us, the people, experiences, and opportunities that have contributed to our growth. Gratitude and grace are the marks of a life well lived. As we move through life, this lesson invites us to cultivate gratitude for what nourishes us, both physically and spiritually. When the time comes for us to drop from the tree, let us do so with the same grace and appreciation, leaving behind a legacy of harmony, gratitude, and virtue. In the end, this lesson serves as both an inspiration and a guide to live fully, gracefully, and in harmony with the natural order of life. 48th lesson. I learned to read carefully and not be satisfied with a rough understanding of the whole, and not to agree too quickly with those who have a lot to say about something. This lesson emphasizes the importance of intellectual diligence and critical thinking. In a world filled with noise and endless opinions, it's easy to skim through information, settle for surface-level understanding, or agree with the loudest voices. However, true wisdom demands a deeper, more deliberate approach to learning and judgment. Careful reading is the foundation of true understanding. To read carefully means to engage with information thoughtfully and analytically. It's not enough to grasp the gist of a text or argument. We must seek to understand its nuances, evaluate its logic, and consider its implications. This kind of careful engagement helps us uncover the deeper truths that may not be immediately apparent. It also protects us from being misled by superficial or incomplete narratives. Equally important is the caution against agreeing too quickly with those who speak at length or with great confidence. Eloquence and verbosity can be persuasive, but they do not guarantee truth. This lesson reminds us to question, to verify, and to resist the urge to accept ideas simply because they come from authoritative or influential sources. Critical thinking is a safeguard against deception. By cultivating the habit of reading carefully and thinking critically, we equip ourselves to navigate the complexities of life with greater wisdom. This practice not only enhances our understanding, but also helps us form our own well-reasoned opinions, rather than simply echoing the views of others. In a broader sense, this lesson encourages us to value depth over speed, substance over style, and thoughtfulness over convenience. It's a call to engage with the world, and with knowledge, with curiosity, patience, and integrity. 49th lesson. Life is short. The fruit of this life is a good character and acts for the common good. This lesson is a reminder of life's brevity and the significance of how we choose to live it. Our time is limited, and while we cannot extend its length, we can ensure its quality by focusing on what truly matters, cultivating a virtuous character and contributing to the well-being of others. Good character is the foundation of a meaningful life. A good character is not something we are born with. It is something we develop through intentional effort. It involves honesty, integrity, kindness, courage, and humility. These traits define who we are and guide how we interact with the world. When we live with virtue, we create a life of purpose and leave behind a legacy that outlasts our fleeting existence. Equally important are acts for the common good. Life's greatest rewards often come not from pursuing personal gain, but from serving others and contributing to something larger than ourselves. Whether through small acts of kindness or efforts to improve our communities, working for the collective benefit creates a ripple effect that touches countless lives. The true fruit of life is found in how we live and give. This perspective shifts our focus from chasing fleeting pleasures or material success to embracing a life of virtue and service. It reminds us that the value of our existence is measured not in years, but in the impact we have on others and the character we cultivate within ourselves. In recognizing life's brevity, we are called to make the most of it, not by rushing or grasping, but by living intentionally, with goodness and purpose at the center of all we do. A short life lived well is far more fulfilling than a long life lived without meaning. This lesson encourages us to focus on what truly matters, building a good character and dedicating ourselves to acts that uplift others. In doing so, we ensure that even a brief life can be a life well lived. 50th lesson. Wherever a person can live, there one can also live well. This lesson challenges us to reconsider how we think about our circumstances and surroundings. It teaches that a good life is not dictated by external conditions, but by our mindset and approach to living. Living well is not about where you are, but how you are. Many of us fall into the trap of thinking that happiness and fulfillment depend on being in the right place, achieving the perfect conditions, or waiting for life to align just so. But the truth is, the essence of living well comes from within us. It comes from our ability to adapt, to practice virtue, and to find meaning wherever we are, wherever life places us, whether in comfort or hardship, in a bustling city or a quiet village. We have the opportunity to cultivate goodness, gratitude, and resilience. The external environment may influence our experience, but it does not define our capacity to live well. The power to live well lies in our choices. Living well means acting with integrity, being kind to others, and appreciating the small blessings in life. It's about finding joy in the present moment, no matter how imperfect it may seem. It's also about using challenges as opportunities for growth and using our unique circumstances as a stage for practicing virtue. This lesson reminds us that we carry the tools for a meaningful life within us. While external conditions may vary, the principles of a good life, gratitude, kindness, courage, and self-discipline, can be practiced anywhere. To live well is a choice we make, not a place we find. So, wherever you find yourself, remember that you have everything you need to live well. Embrace your surroundings, focus on your character, and make the most of the life you've been given. In doing so, you'll discover that the good life isn't about the perfect setting. It's about the way you choose to live. 51st lesson. That which isn't good for the hive isn't good for the bee. This lesson highlights the interconnectedness of individuals within a community. Just as a bee cannot thrive apart from the hive, we as individuals are deeply tied to the well-being of the groups, societies, and ecosystems we belong to. The well-being of the individual depends on the well-being of the whole. When a hive is healthy and flourishing, every bee within it benefits. Similarly, when a society functions well, when fairness, kindness, and cooperation prevail, individuals within that society can thrive. Conversely, if the hive is neglected or harmed, every bee feels the effects. This principle reminds us that selfishness and short-term thinking can lead to harm not only for the collective, but also for ourselves. Our actions ripple outward. This lesson encourages us to think beyond ourselves and consider the broader impact of our choices. Actions that benefit the greater good, such as helping others, protecting the environment, or fostering peace, strengthen the hive and ultimately create a better life for everyone, including ourselves. On the other hand, actions driven by greed, divisiveness, or indifference can weaken the collective and, by extension, harm us in the long run. To care for others is to care for yourself. This perspective doesn't mean sacrificing individuality. Rather, it emphasizes that individual well-being is deeply tied to collective harmony. By contributing positively to the communities we're part of, be they families, workplaces, or entire societies, we create an environment where everyone, including ourselves, can flourish. The hive and the bee share a common destiny. This lesson invites us to live with greater awareness of our role within the larger whole. By recognizing our interconnectedness and acting in ways that support the common good, we strengthen both the hive and our own lives. True fulfillment comes not from isolating ourselves, but from contributing meaningfully to the collective well-being. 52nd lesson. Accept the things to which fate binds you and love the people with whom fate brings you together. But do so with all your heart. This lesson speaks to the core of Stoic philosophy: acceptance and love for the life we are given. It encourages us to embrace the circumstances and people that fate places in our path with a spirit of gratitude and wholeheartedness. Acceptance is the foundation of inner peace. Life is filled with events beyond our control. Instead of resisting or resenting these realities, we are invited to accept them. Acceptance does not mean passive resignation. It means choosing to work with what life offers rather than against it. By doing so, we free ourselves from unnecessary frustration and open the door to contentment. Love strengthens our bonds and enriches our lives. Fate also connects us with people, family, friends, colleagues, and even strangers. While we don't choose all the relationships in our lives, we can choose how we approach them. Loving others with sincerity and generosity creates deeper, more meaningful connections. It also reminds us that relationships are a source of joy and growth, even when they challenge us. To love wholeheartedly is to live fully. This lesson calls us to embrace life with an open heart. Instead of longing for a different fate or wishing for different companions, we are encouraged to cherish the present moment and the people within it. This approach not only fosters gratitude, but also transforms even the most ordinary aspects of life into something extraordinary. Acceptance and love are acts of courage. When we align ourselves with the flow of life, accepting its twists and turns, and love those around us without reservation, we find strength and serenity. These acts may require effort, especially in difficult times, but they ultimately lead to a life of harmony and fulfillment. 53rd lesson. Here is a rule to remember in future. When anything tempts you to feel bitter, not, "This is misfortune," but, "To bear this worthily is good fortune." This profound lesson encourages us to reframe our perspective on challenges and hardships. Instead of seeing difficulties as misfortunes, we're invited to view them as opportunities to demonstrate strength, patience, and virtue. Misfortune is a matter of perspective. Life will always bring moments of struggle, unexpected setbacks, painful losses, or difficult decisions. While it's natural to feel overwhelmed or frustrated in such moments, how we interpret and respond to them shapes their impact. By choosing to see challenges as opportunities to grow, we shift our mindset from victimhood to empowerment. The virtue shines brightest in adversity. To bear hardships worthily means approaching them with courage, resilience, and grace. When we face difficulties with dignity, we strengthen our character and set an example for others. The ability to endure, with composure, even when circumstances feel unfair, is a testament to inner strength. Challenges are hidden blessings. What if every trial we face is an invitation to rise above our instincts and cultivate wisdom? By reframing challenges as opportunities for growth, we not only reduce their emotional burden, but also find purpose in the struggle. In this way, even hardship becomes a form of good fortune. It's a chance to practice the virtues of patience, perseverance, and gratitude. True fortune lies in how we respond. This lesson reminds us that life is not defined by what happens to us, but by how we choose to react. The strength to endure challenges with grace transforms misfortune into a tool for self-improvement. In the end, it is not the absence of hardship that defines a good life, but the ability to face hardship with integrity. 54th lesson. Live out your life in truth and justice, tolerant of those who are neither true nor just. This lesson is a call to live with integrity and fairness, even in a world where these values may not always be reciprocated. It reminds us that our actions should reflect our principles, regardless of the behavior of others. Commit to truth and justice. To live truthfully means to be honest with ourselves and others, aligning our words and actions with what is right. Justice, on the other hand, calls us to treat others fairly, giving them their due while standing firm against wrongdoing. Together, truth and justice form the foundation of a virtuous life. one that prioritizes moral clarity over convenience or self-interest. Tolerance is a virtue in itself. The world is filled with people whose actions and beliefs may not align with truth or justice. Rather than allowing their behavior to embitter or provoke us, this lesson encourages tolerance. Tolerance does not mean condoning injustice or falsehood, but rather maintaining patience and understanding, recognizing that others may be shaped by ignorance, fear, or flawed perspectives. Lead by example. Living truthfully and justly is not only a personal commitment, but also a way to inspire change. When we embody these principles, we become a living example of what is possible. Our actions can challenge others to reflect on their own behavior and perhaps strive for higher standards themselves. Stay grounded in your values. This lesson also warns us against being swayed by the negativity or injustice of others. Instead of lowering ourselves to their level, we must remain steadfast in our principles, confident that our commitment to truth and justice is the right path. Tolerance strengthens your spirit. By practicing tolerance, we protect our peace of mind and preserve our integrity. It allows us to navigate a flawed world without becoming consumed by anger or resentment. This is the mark of a strong and centered individual, someone who holds firm to their values while remaining patient and compassionate toward the imperfections of others. 55th lesson. We live only now. Everything else is either past or is unknown. This timeless reminder urges us to focus on the present moment, the only time we truly have. It invites us to release the weight of the past and the uncertainty of the future, centering our attention on the here and now. The past is unchangeable. No matter how much we reflect on or regret past events, they remain beyond our control. Clinging to them only distracts us from living fully in the present. Instead of dwelling on what cannot be undone, we can choose to learn from the past and let it guide our current actions without being consumed by it. The future is uncertain. The future holds endless possibilities, but it is not guaranteed. Worrying about what might happen can rob us of the joy and clarity available in the present. Planning is important, but overthinking the unknown can create unnecessary stress. By grounding ourselves in the moment, we cultivate a sense of calm and resilience to face whatever lies ahead. The present is where life happens. Life unfolds in the now, in the conversations we have, the actions we take, and the experiences we embrace. Each moment is a gift, a fleeting opportunity to connect with ourselves and the world around us. By focusing on the present, we find richness and meaning in even the simplest experiences. Mindfulness is the key to living well. When we live with full awareness of the present, we gain clarity and peace. We see things as they are, unclouded by past regrets or future fears. This focus allows us to engage with life more deeply, savoring its beauty and facing its challenges with grace. Let the now guide your life. This lesson challenges us to live intentionally, prioritizing what truly matters in each moment. By embracing the present, we not only enrich our own lives, but also create a ripple effect of positivity for those around us. 56th lesson. To love only what happens, what was destined. No greater harmony. This lesson calls us to embrace amor fati, the love of fate. It's an invitation not just to accept what life brings, but to cherish it as part of a greater, meaningful whole. Acceptance as freedom. At its core, this principle teaches us that resisting what has already happened only causes unnecessary suffering. When we accept life as it unfolds, we free ourselves from the burden of wishing things were different. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It means working with life as it is, not as we wish it to be. Love, not mere tolerance. True harmony comes when we don't just endure what happens, but embrace it with gratitude. Every experience, whether joyous or painful, shapes us and offers an opportunity to grow. By loving what happens, we align ourselves with life's natural flow, finding peace in even the most challenging circumstances. The interconnectedness of destiny. This perspective reminds us that everything happens for a reason, even if it's not immediately clear. Like notes in a melody, each event plays its part in a larger symphony. By trusting in this interconnectedness, we find comfort in knowing that every twist and turn has its place in the grand design. No greater harmony. Loving what is destined allows us to live in harmony with ourselves and the world. It fosters resilience, helping us to face adversity with grace and strength. Instead of battling against reality, we flow with it, finding beauty in its imperfections. The wisdom of loving fate. This lesson is more than a mindset. It's a way of living that transforms how we see the world. By loving what happens, we cultivate a deep sense of peace and gratitude, embracing life in its fullness. 57th lesson. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. This lesson serves as a powerful reminder of the brevity and uncertainty of life. It calls us to live with urgency and purpose, to recognize that each moment is precious, and that we should act with integrity while we still have time. The inevitability of death. Death is a natural part of life, one that we often avoid contemplating. Yet, it is always present, just beyond the horizon. To deny this truth is to live in denial of what shapes our existence. By acknowledging that death is inevitable, we can focus on living more fully, making the most of the time we have rather than wasting it. Live with purpose. Instead of drifting through life, assuming we have endless time, we must recognize that each day is an opportunity to make a difference. The awareness of our mortality should drive us to live more intentionally, focusing on what truly matters. Let this awareness guide our decisions, actions, and relationships as we seek to live with meaning and significance. Act with goodness. This lesson emphasizes that the most important thing we can do with the time we have is to live virtuously. To be good is to live in accordance with wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. By acting with goodness, we ensure that our legacy is one of positive impact, rather than regret. The power is in your hands. While life may be short and death inevitable, we still have the power to shape our actions. The present is where we can make choices that reflect our values and contribute to the common good. Each moment is an opportunity to be a better person, to live in alignment with our highest principles, live fully and with integrity. This lesson reminds us that the most meaningful life is not one spent in the pursuit of wealth, fame, or pleasure, but in the pursuit of virtue. By living with integrity, we honor our finite time and create a life worth remembering. 58th lesson. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. This profound statement shifts our focus from the fear of death to the fear of a life never truly lived. It challenges us to reflect on the way we are spending our time, and to ask ourselves if we are truly living or simply existing. Fear of death is natural, but not essential. The fear of death is deeply ingrained in human nature. However, the Stoic philosophy teaches us that this fear should not dominate our lives. Instead, we should come to terms with the reality of mortality, accepting that death is a natural part of existence. It is not death itself that we should fear, but the idea of never truly living. Living means embracing life fully. To live fully is to be present, to engage with the world around us, to pursue meaningful goals, and to experience growth and change. It means not holding back out of fear or doubt, but stepping forward into each moment with purpose. Living fully involves taking risks, learning from mistakes, and appreciating the beauty of life, no matter how fleeting. The fear of never beginning to live. The greater fear, as this lesson points out, is that we may go through life without ever truly embracing it. Many of us may get caught in the routine, trapped in comfort, or in the pursuit of external success, without reflecting on the deeper meaning of our existence. If we let fear, insecurity, or complacency prevent us from living authentically, we risk missing the true essence of life. Life is meant to be experienced. This lesson encourages us to embrace every opportunity that comes our way, to pursue passions, to seek out new experiences, and to connect with others. By stepping into life with courage and openness, we create a life worth living, one full of richness, depth, and meaning. Don't let fear hold you back. Fear often keeps us from living fully, whether it's the fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown. It can keep us from taking the first step toward a more vibrant life. This lesson urges us to confront that fear and move forward, knowing that the true danger lies in never beginning at all. 59th lesson. What we do now echoes in eternity. This timeless lesson reminds us that our actions, no matter how small or fleeting they may seem, have far-reaching consequences. Every decision we make, every word we speak, and every choice we take shapes the future in ways we may not fully understand. The ripple effect of our actions, much like a stone thrown into a pond, creates ripples that spread far beyond the point of impact. Our actions have a ripple effect that can extend well beyond our own lives. The kindness we show, the work we put forth, and the integrity we uphold can influence those around us and even generations to come. What we do today can inspire others, contribute to a better world, and leave behind a legacy that endures. Living with awareness of eternity. When we live with the awareness that our actions echo into eternity, we begin to see everything we do as part of a greater story. This perspective encourages us to be more mindful and intentional, knowing that our choices are part of the larger narrative of humanity. Whether in our personal lives or in the public sphere, we should strive to act with purpose, knowing that even the smallest of actions can leave a lasting impact. Creating a meaningful legacy. The idea of eternity calls us to reflect on the kind of legacy we wish to leave. Are we living in a way that aligns with our highest values? Are we contributing to the greater good? The truth is, our legacy is not defined by wealth, fame, or material success, but by the good we do in the world and the positive influence we have on others. The importance of the present moment. This lesson also teaches us the importance of the present. If what we do now echoes into eternity, then every moment is precious. The choices we make today matter. How we live now, with purpose and integrity, will resonate long after we are gone. Live with intention. By living with the understanding that our actions matter, we can be more intentional in the way we approach life. Every opportunity is a chance to make a positive impact, and each moment is an invitation to act in alignment with our values and aspirations. 60th lesson. Understand at last that you have something in you more powerful and divine than what causes the bodily passions and pulls you like a mere puppet. What thoughts now occupy my mind? Is it not fear, suspicion, desire, or something like that? This lesson brings our attention to the deeper, more powerful part of ourselves, the part that transcends our bodily desires and the emotional turmoil we often experience. It challenges us to recognize the difference between the fleeting, chaotic impulses of the body and the true strength that lies within our minds and spirits. The power of the mind over the body. We are often driven by our passions, fear, desire, anger, and other emotional responses. These feelings can feel overwhelming, as though they control us, pulling us in different directions. But this lesson reminds us that we possess a greater power within, our ability to reason, to observe our emotions without being controlled by them, and to choose how we respond, recognizing the higher self. At our core, we are more than just our physical bodies and transient emotions. We are beings capable of deep thought, reflection, and self-awareness. The part of us that can reflect on our thoughts, that can step back and question what we are feeling or thinking, is the divine aspect of our nature. It is this higher self that can guide us through life's challenges, leading us toward wisdom, peace, and fulfillment. The role of self-awareness. The lesson encourages us to pause and examine our thoughts. What is occupying our mind right now? Are we caught in cycles of fear, suspicion, or desire? By bringing awareness to these thoughts, we begin to reclaim control. Instead of being swept away by emotions or impulses, we can respond from a place of clarity and wisdom. The power of choice. Though we may not always control our first reactions or thoughts, we always have the power to choose how we respond to them. This awareness of choice is the key to gaining mastery over ourselves. By recognizing that we have something more powerful and divine within us, we can rise above the pull of fleeting passions and act in alignment with our higher purpose, embracing inner strength. This lesson invites us to connect with that divine inner power, the source of true strength, peace, and resilience. By doing so, we can navigate life's challenges with greater composure and wisdom, instead of being tossed around by every passing emotion. 61st lesson. It isn't manly to be enraged. Rather, gentleness and civility are more human, and therefore manlier. The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. This lesson offers a profound shift in how we view strength and masculinity. It challenges the common idea that anger, aggression, or dominance are signs of strength or manliness. Instead, it teaches that true strength comes from calmness, gentleness, and civility. The misconception of strength. Often, we associate strength with forcefulness, loudness, or the ability to intimidate. However, Stoic wisdom teaches us that true strength lies in the ability to maintain composure and remain grounded, especially in the face of adversity. Anger may seem like a quick way to assert power, but it is often a reaction born of weakness. When we lose control of our emotions, we give up our true power. Gentleness as a higher form of strength. The lesson highlights that gentleness, kindness, and civility are more aligned with our humanity, and thus, more truly manly. A person who can remain gentle and composed, even when provoked, demonstrates inner strength. True manliness is not about dominating or overpowering others, but about the ability to face life's challenges with grace, dignity, and emotional balance. Calmness brings clarity and strength. The closer a person is to a calm mind, the more in control they are of their thoughts, actions, and reactions. In moments of anger or frustration, it is easy to be swept up in the moment and say or do things we regret. However, when we maintain calmness, we can make better decisions, think clearly, and act in ways that align with our values. Calmness allows us to respond thoughtfully, rather than react impulsively. Strength lies in restraint. This lesson encourages us to practice emotional restraint. Rather than letting anger dictate our behavior, we can cultivate patience and understanding. Resisting the urge to be reactive in the face of provocation is a true sign of strength and maturity. In doing so, we also show respect for others and preserve our own sense of inner peace. A calm mind is a powerful mind. Ultimately, the calm mind is the most powerful force we can possess. It enables us to navigate life's challenges with confidence and resilience, without being at the mercy of our emotions. It is through this calmness that we find the strength to persevere, make wise choices, and maintain a sense of purpose in every situation. 62nd lesson. Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look. This lesson invites us to look inward for strength rather than seeking it externally. It reminds us that we have a deep well of power and resilience within us, and all we need to do is tap into it. The more we focus on this inner strength, the more we cultivate it, and the better equipped we become to face life's challenges. The power within us. So often, we look outside ourselves for the solutions to our problems, whether it's through material possessions, other people's approval, or external circumstances. But true power resides within us, specifically in our thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. When we look inward, we tap into an unshakable force that can help us navigate difficulties with grace and resilience, strength through self-awareness. The act of looking within requires self-awareness. It's about taking the time to pause, reflect, and understand ourselves more deeply. When we know ourselves, our strengths, weaknesses, values, and desires, we can tap into the inner resources that will guide us in any situation. The more we practice this introspection, the stronger we become, because we no longer rely on external validation or circumstances to feel confident and empowered. Self-reliance and inner resources. By looking within, we cultivate self-reliance. We come to understand that no matter what happens in the external world, we have the ability to remain grounded and centered because the strength we seek is already within us. Whether we are facing a difficult decision, a challenging situation, or an emotional struggle, we can always find the courage, wisdom, and resolve to deal with it, simply by trusting in our own inner power, a constant source of strength. This inner well of strength is not something that depletes over time. It's a constant source that replenishes itself whenever we choose to connect with it. The more we focus on it, the more it grows. This is a lifelong practice. By making introspection a regular part of our routine, we continue to cultivate our internal strength, ensuring that we always have access to it when needed. Inner strength as a foundation for resilience. Ultimately, this lesson teaches us that true resilience comes not from our external circumstances, but from our inner resources. By looking inward and connecting with our inner strength, we build a foundation that allows us to face life's challenges with confidence and clarity. 63rd lesson. This is the mark of perfection of character, to spend each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, laziness, or any pretending. This lesson speaks to the art of living with intention and integrity. It challenges us to approach every day as if it were our final one, to make the most of our time without unnecessary distractions or false pretenses. It encourages a life of authenticity and purposeful action, where we are fully present and engaged in what truly matters. Living with urgency and mindfulness. To live each day as if it were your last means to approach every moment with a sense of urgency. Not in the sense of rushing or being frantic, but in the sense of valuing the time we have. When we are aware of the fleeting nature of life, we begin to treat each moment with respect, understanding that it is a precious opportunity to live meaningfully. No room for laziness or procrastination. Laziness and procrastination are often born out of complacency or the illusion that we have infinite time. By embracing the idea that each day could be our last, we banish these tendencies. We become more focused and productive, using our time wisely to achieve the things that matter most. This mindset empowers us to act, rather than delay, knowing that today is the only time we are certain of. Authenticity over pretense. The lesson also warns against pretending or living inauthentically. Many of us wear masks to please others, to conform to societal expectations, or to avoid discomfort. But when we live as though each day is our last, we are encouraged to be true to ourselves. We act with honesty, integrity, and authenticity, showing up as our genuine selves in every interaction, embracing the present moment. Living as if it were our last day also teaches us to embrace the present moment. We no longer waste time worrying about the past or obsessing over the future. Instead, we focus on making the most of the here and now, fully immersed in what we are doing. Whether we're working, spending time with loved ones, or simply being alone, we live with complete presence and engagement. A life of purpose and excellence. By spending each day with intention, avoiding distractions, and living authentically, we create a life of purpose and excellence. This lesson invites us to elevate the quality of our daily lives, to live with clarity and purpose, and to leave behind the habits of laziness and pretense. When we live this way, we become our best selves, no longer wasting time on what doesn't truly matter. 64th lesson. Every living organism is fulfilled when it follows the right path for its own nature. This lesson highlights the importance of living in accordance with our true nature. Just as every plant, animal, and human has a unique path that, aligns with its intrinsic purpose. Our fulfillment comes from discovering and following that path. When we act in harmony with who we truly are, we experience a sense of alignment and satisfaction that can't be achieved through external pursuits or artificial goals. Living in alignment with our nature. Each of us has a unique nature, a set of qualities, desires, and talents that define us. Just as a tree fulfills its purpose by growing towards the sunlight, or a bird fulfills its purpose by flying, we, too, are fulfilled when we live authentically, honoring our true selves. This means understanding our values, passions, and abilities, and aligning our actions with them. When we pursue what resonates with our nature, we feel more at peace with ourselves and our lives, avoiding the traps of comparison. The temptation to compare ourselves to others often leads us off course. Society may offer a set path, but not all of us are meant to walk the same journey. The key to fulfillment is not in following someone else's idea of success, but in understanding our own purpose. Just as a fish is designed to swim, not fly, our unique characteristics and talents determine our path. When we stop trying to imitate others and instead focus on our own strengths, we find true satisfaction. Growth through self-awareness. Self-awareness is the foundation for discovering our right path. When we take the time to understand ourselves, our desires, strengths, and weaknesses, we can make choices that align with our true nature. This awareness allows us to shed the expectations placed upon us by others, and instead, cultivate a life that feels authentic and meaningful. Fulfillment through purposeful living. True fulfillment comes from living with purpose. When we follow the path that is right for us, we are more likely to experience inner peace and contentment. This doesn't necessarily mean following a conventional path. It means doing what feels true to ourselves, what nourishes our spirit, and what brings us joy. Fulfillment comes when we listen to our inner voice and trust that it knows the way. Living in harmony with nature. Just as an ecosystem thrives when each organism fulfills its role, we, too, find harmony when we follow the path that suits our nature. Our fulfillment comes not from forcing ourselves into roles we don't fit, but from embracing our individuality and living in harmony with who we truly are. This natural alignment leads to a deeper sense of peace, purpose, and personal growth. 65th lesson. The universe is transformation. Our life is what our thoughts make it. This lesson teaches us the fundamental truth that everything in the universe is constantly changing. The world around us, the people we encounter, and even our own circumstances are all in a state of transformation. In the midst of this ever-changing reality, it is our thoughts that shape our experience of life. We hold the power to determine how we perceive and respond to the world. And through our thoughts, we can either create suffering or peace. Embracing change as a natural force. Change is an inevitable part of life. Just as the seasons shift, as rivers flow, and as the stars evolve, everything in the universe is in constant flux. This can be unsettling at times, but it also offers us an incredible opportunity. If we accept that change is not to be feared but embraced, we can flow with the currents of life rather than resist them. By adapting to change, we become more resilient and capable of finding peace within the chaos. The power of our thoughts. Our thoughts are like the lens through which we view the world. They are the architects of our reality. If we think negatively, focusing on obstacles and hardships, our life will feel heavy and burdensome. But if we cultivate positive, constructive thoughts, our life transforms into one of opportunity and growth. The quality of our thoughts directly impacts the quality of our life. We are not merely passive observers of life circumstances. We are active participants in creating our reality through the thoughts we choose to nurture, mastering the mind for inner peace. True freedom comes from mastering our thoughts. By training our minds to focus on what is good, true, and meaningful, we can find peace regardless of external conditions. It is not the external world that determines our happiness, but our internal world. the way we interpret and react to what happens around us. A calm, positive mind brings clarity and joy, even in the midst of turmoil. Transformation from within. While the universe is constantly transforming, the greatest transformation happens within us. When we shift our thoughts, we shift our life. A mind focused on gratitude, compassion, and growth will create a life filled with those very qualities. Through conscious effort, we can transform our perception, our behavior, and ultimately, our entire life, becoming the masters of our destiny. When we realize that our thoughts shape our reality, we take back control of our lives. No longer are we passive victims of circumstance. We become the creators of our own destiny. By choosing thoughts that align with our values and aspirations, we can transform any situation. And more importantly, we transform ourselves. The universe may be in constant change, but within that change, we hold the power to shape our own experience. 66th lesson. Begin each day by telling yourself, "Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil." This lesson reminds us that the challenges we face in our daily interactions often stem from others' ignorance or lack of awareness, rather than personal malice. By mentally preparing ourselves for such encounters, we can approach the day with greater patience and understanding, rather than frustration or resentment. Expecting obstacles, embracing calm. Each day brings with it its share of challenges, whether it's dealing with difficult people, managing unexpected events, or facing obstacles in our work. We must expect these disturbances. By anticipating them, we can prepare ourselves to respond with composure and clarity, instead of reacting impulsively or emotionally. Understanding that these challenges are part of life helps us embrace them without being thrown off balance. The root of negative behavior. Ignorance. The individuals we encounter who exhibit ingratitude, selfishness, or hostility often do so not because they are inherently bad, but because they are acting out of ignorance. They do not fully understand what is good, just, or virtuous. By recognizing this, we can cultivate compassion rather than judgment. Instead of taking their behavior personally, we can see it as a reflection of their misunderstanding of what truly matters. Responding with patience and understanding. When we encounter interference, disloyalty, or ill will, our natural instinct might be to retaliate or feel hurt. However, by acknowledging that these actions stem from ignorance, we can choose a more measured response. Instead of letting their actions disturb our peace, we can respond with patience, kindness, and wisdom. Our focus should be on maintaining our integrity and not letting others' ignorance dictate our actions. Turning obstacles into opportunities for growth. Each challenge we face is an opportunity to practice virtues such as patience, tolerance, and self-control. When we encounter negative behavior, we can choose to rise above it, strengthening our character in the process. By understanding the root causes of others' actions, we develop a deeper sense of empathy and a stronger commitment to our own values. Shifting perspective. Seeing through ignorance. By recognizing that negative behaviors are often born from ignorance, we are less likely to feel anger or frustration. Instead of seeing others' actions as personal attacks, we can view them as opportunities to demonstrate wisdom and grace. In this way, we begin each day not with fear or defensiveness, but with the intention to remain calm, composed, and centered, regardless of external challenges. 67th lesson. For it is in your power to retire into yourself whenever you choose. This lesson offers a profound reminder that we always have the ability to retreat inward and find peace, no matter the external circumstances. In the hustle and bustle of life, it is easy to feel overwhelmed by the noise, demands, and distractions of the world. But at any moment, we can choose to step back and center ourselves, reconnecting with our inner tranquility. The power of inner retreat. When external chaos or stress arises, our first instinct may be to react, whether by becoming anxious, angry, or overwhelmed. However, Marcus Aurelius teaches us that we hold the power to retire into ourselves, to create a mental space where we are not at the mercy of external events. By practicing mindfulness and self-awareness, we can withdraw mentally and emotionally from the storm around us, taking a pause to reflect and regain our sense of balance. Finding peace within. No matter what is happening around us, we always have the ability to cultivate peace within. Whether through deep breathing, quiet reflection, or a mental pause, we can create a sanctuary inside ourselves. This inner retreat is not about escaping the world, but about finding the strength to face it with calmness and clarity. By retreating into our own minds, we find that we are not defined by external forces, but by our internal state. Mastering our reactions. It is not the events themselves that disturb us, but our reaction to them. The true power lies in our ability to control how we respond to life's challenges. When we retire into ourselves, we reconnect with our core values, our sense of purpose, and our inner calm. This self-reflection allows us to process emotions, reassess situations, and choose a response that aligns with our higher nature, rather than reacting impulsively. A refuge that is always available. The beauty of this inner retreat is that it is always available to us, regardless of the situation. Unlike external comforts, such as a quiet place or a break from work, the peace found within is not subject to external conditions. It is a refuge we can access at any time. This gives us incredible freedom. No matter where we are or what is happening, we can always return to ourselves and find a place of calm, a source of strength and resilience. By making a habit of retreating into ourselves, we build mental and emotional resilience. The more we practice this inner retreat, the more equipped we become to handle life's challenges with grace and composure. In moments of stress, we can rely on the strength and wisdom we've cultivated through these quiet, reflective moments. Over time, this practice strengthens our ability to navigate the world without being swept away by its turbulence. 68th lesson. Your days are numbered. Use them to throw open the windows of your soul to the sun. If you do not, the sun will soon set, and you with it. This lesson is a reminder of the finite nature of life. Time is precious, and once it is gone, we cannot get it back. The metaphor of throwing open the windows of our soul to the sun speaks to embracing the fullness of life, its beauty, its lessons, and its moments of joy and growth. By doing so, we allow ourselves to live fully and with purpose. The fleeting nature of time. Each day that passes brings us one step closer to the end of our journey. We are given a limited number of days, and this awareness should inspire us to make the most of them. The sun represents vitality, warmth, and life itself. By opening ourselves to its light, by living authentically, with intention, and embracing the opportunities we are given, we align ourselves with the flow of life, making the most of our time here. Live fully, with purpose. To throw open the windows of your soul is to open yourself to life's experiences, to embrace its challenges, beauty, and growth. It's about being present in the moment and engaging with the world around us with clarity and purpose. We should not waste time in idle distraction or fear, but instead use our days to cultivate meaning, pursue our passions, and connect with others in ways that enrich our lives and the lives of those around us. Seize the present moment. The sun, in its constant rise and set, reminds us of the importance of the present moment. We are not promised tomorrow, so it is essential to make the most of today. Seize every opportunity to grow, learn, and experience life with an open heart and mind. Do not let fear or hesitation hold you back from living the life you were meant to live. The choice is ours. We each have the power to decide how we use our time. Will we live fully, opening our hearts and minds to the richness of life? Or will we let the days slip away, unnoticed and unlived? Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we are the ones who shape our destiny. By choosing to embrace life with awareness, gratitude, and intentionality, we can ensure that our days are filled with purpose and meaning. Do not wait for tomorrow. The sun sets each day, and with it, another opportunity is gone. Do not wait for the right time to begin living the life you desire. The time is now. Open your soul to the sunlight of the present moment and live fully with the knowledge that each day is a gift. If we do not seize it, it will slip away, and so will we. 69th lesson. Receive without conceit, release without struggle. This profound lesson offers guidance on how to approach both the good and the challenging aspects of life. It calls us to embrace life with humility and grace, without letting our ego or attachments dictate our actions. By receiving and releasing with the right mindset, we can maintain peace and harmony within ourselves. Receive without conceit. To receive without conceit means to accept what life offers us, whether it's praise, gifts, or opportunities, without letting our ego inflate. It encourages us to remain humble in the face of success or recognition. Instead of seeing ourselves as superior or deserving of more, we acknowledge that everything we receive is, in its own way, a gift. When we receive with humility, we are better able to appreciate the present moment and the people around us, without falling into pride or self-importance. Humility in all things. Humility is not about undervaluing ourselves, but recognizing that everything we receive is part of a larger, interconnected whole. The things we gain in life, be they material or emotional, are transient. They are not reflections of our inherent worth, but rather experiences that come and go. By receiving them without ego, we maintain balance and clarity. We are not swept away by external validation or failure. Instead, we remain rooted in our true nature. Release without struggle. Just as we receive without conceit, we must also release without struggle. This part of the lesson emphasizes the importance of letting go of things, whether they are material possessions, relationships, or even emotions, without resistance or attachment. Holding on tightly only leads to suffering. By releasing without struggle, we free ourselves from the burden of clinging to what no longer serves us. The power of letting go. Letting go does not mean abandoning or neglecting, but rather acknowledging that change is a natural part of life. Whether we are facing loss or simply letting go of old habits, the ability to release gracefully brings peace. When we let go of the things we cannot control, we make space for new growth, new experiences, and new opportunities. Living in harmony. By receiving without conceit and releasing without struggle, we create a harmonious balance between acceptance and detachment. We avoid the extremes of greed and attachment, finding peace in the ebb and flow of life. In doing so, we create an inner tranquility that allows us to navigate the ups and downs with grace and wisdom. The art of balance. The art of balance is knowing when to embrace and when to release. Both are equally important in maintaining a healthy, peaceful mind and spirit. Through this practice, we cultivate the resilience to face life's challenges with an open heart, knowing that nothing is permanent and everything is part of the journey. 70th lesson. You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. These things are not asking to be judged by you. Leave them alone. This lesson teaches us the power of choosing where to direct our energy and attention. It reminds us that not every situation requires an opinion, and not everything in life is worth reacting to. By recognizing the limits of our control, we can maintain inner peace and avoid unnecessary stress. The power of not reacting. We often feel the need to form an opinion or react to everything that happens around us. However, this lesson suggests that we have the option to simply refrain from judgment. Instead of engaging with every piece of information or every event with an opinion, we can choose to let it pass by without giving it the energy it doesn't deserve. This is a choice that leads to greater peace. as we are no longer constantly troubled by external influences. Focus on what you can control. It is easy to become overwhelmed by the constant stream of information, opinions, and events that we cannot control. However, this lesson encourages us to focus on what we can control. Our thoughts, reactions, and actions, the things that happen outside of our control, such as the behavior of others or the course of events, do not need our emotional energy. By letting go of these concerns, we free ourselves from unnecessary burden and inner turmoil. Not everything demands your judgment. It's essential to remember that not everything is meant for us to judge. Some situations, ideas, or actions are outside our scope of influence and understanding. When we try to judge things beyond our control, we are often projecting our own biases, fears, and misunderstandings. This lesson encourages us to step back, recognize when we are about to engage in unnecessary judgment, and instead, let those things pass without attachment, tranquility in acceptance. The more we practice the art of accepting things as they are, without judgment or reaction, the more we cultivate inner tranquility. Our minds are not cluttered with frustrations or concerns about things we cannot change. Instead, we can direct our energy toward constructive thoughts and actions that align with our values and purpose. This leads to a calmer, more focused life. Leave what you can't control. The final part of the lesson reminds us that the external world is not asking us to judge or engage with it. It simply exists. By leaving these things alone, we reclaim our peace and energy. The more we practice detachment from what doesn't serve us, the more we can focus on what truly matters: our own growth, our relationships, and our contributions to the world. 71st lesson. There is no nature which is inferior to art, for the arts imitate the nature of things. This lesson explores the relationship between nature and human creativity, suggesting that art is not superior to nature, but rather a reflection of it. It invites us to recognize the profound connection between the natural world and human expression. Art as a reflection of nature. Art is often thought of as a product of human ingenuity, a creation that stands apart from the natural world. However, this lesson challenges that notion by stating that art is deeply rooted in the nature of things. Whether it's a painting, a sculpture, or a piece of music, art reflects the beauty and complexity of the world around us. Artists draw inspiration from the natural world, imitating its forms, patterns, and rhythms. In this sense, art is a continuation of nature's own creativity, and therefore cannot be considered inferior. The harmony between nature and creativity. Nature is full of patterns, structures, and designs that inspire human creativity. The way trees grow, the movement of water, the formation of clouds, these all serve as endless sources of inspiration for artists. The artist's task is to observe, interpret, and recreate the beauty of the natural world through their chosen medium. In this way, art becomes a bridge between the physical world and the human spirit. It is not separate from nature, but an extension of it. Imitation as a form of reverence. Imitating nature in art is not merely an act of copying, but an act of reverence. When an artist seeks to capture the essence of a flower, a sunset, or a mountain range, they are acknowledging the majesty and intricacy of nature. They are not only recreating its beauty, but are also attempting to understand it on a deeper level. Through this imitation, the artist forms a connection with the world around them and invites others to see the beauty in even the most ordinary aspects of life. Nature as the ultimate teacher. Nature provides endless lessons for those willing to observe it closely. Its simplicity and complexity coexist in harmony, offering profound insights into the human experience. The artist who observes nature not only learns about the world, but also about themselves. By imitating nature's forms, an artist can better understand their own creative process and the inherent beauty of life itself, the unity of all creation. In the end, this lesson reminds us that art and nature are not separate entities. They are united in their purpose to reflect the beauty, harmony, and complexity of existence. Just as nature inspires art, art can, in turn, inspire us to see the world through new eyes. There is no hierarchy between the two. Both are expressions of the same fundamental truth, that beauty and creativity are woven into the fabric of existence. 72nd lesson. Frightened of change. But what can exist without it? What's closer to nature's heart? Can you take a hot bath and leave the firewood as it was? Eat food without transforming it? Can any vital process take place without something being changed? Can't you see? It's just the same with you, and just as vital to nature. This lesson invites us to reflect on the nature of change, suggesting that it is not something to fear, but an inherent part of existence. Change is at the core of life itself. Without it, nothing could grow, evolve, or sustain itself. Change is fundamental to life. We live in a world where everything is in a constant state of transformation. From the smallest atom to the vastness of the universe, change is the force that drives progress and renewal. Whether it's the firewood burning to create heat for a bath or food being prepared for nourishment, every process requires transformation. In the same way, our lives are shaped by change, and it is through change that we grow, learn, and adapt. Change is nature's heartbeat. Change is not only inevitable, it is also a vital part of nature. Nature itself is a continuous cycle of transformation. Plants grow, animals evolve, seasons shift, and the world itself is in a constant state of flux. To resist change is to resist the natural flow of life. It is through change that new life emerges, old life fades, and balance is maintained. The lesson urges us to embrace change as a natural and necessary force that sustains life and progress. Embrace transformation. When we fear change, we are essentially fearing the natural processes that govern life. Just as firewood transforms into heat, or food transforms into energy, we too are constantly transforming. Whether it's through personal growth, changing circumstances, or evolving perspectives, we are always in the process of becoming. This transformation is not to be feared, but embraced as an essential part of our journey. Change is essential for growth. Without change, there would be stagnation. Just as a plant needs to change and grow to reach its full potential, so do we. Change pushes us out of our comfort zones, challenges our old ways of thinking, and opens us up to new possibilities. It's through change that we become better versions of ourselves, gaining wisdom, strength, and resilience. The vitality of change. Just as the most vital processes of life require change, so too does our individual growth. Change is not something to resist, but something to welcome as a vital part of our existence. By understanding that change is both natural and necessary, we can begin to approach it with curiosity and openness, rather than fear. 73rd lesson. Often injustice lies in what you aren't doing, not only in what you are doing. This lesson brings our attention to the often overlooked aspect of injustice, the harm caused by our inaction. While it's easy to identify wrongdoing in what people do, injustice can also stem from failing to act when action is needed. Injustice through inaction. Many of us may not actively participate in harmful or unjust actions, but by remaining silent or standing by when we see something wrong, we indirectly support injustice. Whether it's witnessing someone being mistreated, ignoring a call for help, or turning a blind eye to corruption, inaction can be just as harmful as direct wrongdoing. This lesson urges us to recognize that failing to act in the face of injustice is itself a form of injustice. Moral responsibility to act. We have a moral responsibility to not just refrain from doing harm, but also to actively do good. Justice isn't just about what we avoid doing. It's about the positive actions we take to make the world better. When we see injustice or suffering, it is our duty to intervene, speak out, or lend support. Silence in the face of wrongdoing can be just as damaging as the wrongdoing itself. The power of action. By choosing to act, we contribute to creating a just society. Even small actions, whether it's offering help to someone in need, standing up for a cause, or speaking the truth when others remain silent, can create a ripple effect that counters injustice. Inaction, on the other hand, perpetuates the status quo, allowing injustice to thrive. Awareness of our own role. It's important to recognize our role in the world and in the lives of others. When we choose to act with kindness, fairness, and integrity, we contribute to a more just and compassionate society. Conversely, when we neglect our duty to act, we allow injustice to take root and spread. The lesson calls us to be more aware of how our inaction can perpetuate harm, and to take responsibility for the changes we wish to see. Justice in action. Ultimately, justice is not a passive state. It is an active pursuit that requires engagement, awareness, and courage. By acting justly, we not only make the world better, but also grow as individuals. Every moment is an opportunity to choose action over inaction and to contribute positively to the world around us. 74th lesson. Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question. What fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? This lesson encourages self-reflection before passing judgment on others. We often find it easy to criticize the flaws and shortcomings of those around us. But it's crucial to pause and consider our own actions and attitudes before we do so. The mirror of criticism. When we criticize others, we may be projecting our own faults onto them. The lesson suggests that before condemning someone else, we should first examine ourselves. Are we guilty of the same behavior or attitudes? This reflection helps us recognize that our judgment may be clouded by our own imperfections. We all have flaws, and recognizing them in ourselves can foster empathy and understanding toward others. Self-awareness as a tool for growth. By turning our gaze inward, we develop a deeper awareness of our own actions and attitudes. This not only helps us grow personally, but also cultivates humility. Rather than seeing ourselves as superior to others, we acknowledge that we too have room to improve. The more we recognize our own faults, the less inclined we become to judge others harshly. Empathy through self-reflection. When we identify our own faults, we open ourselves to a more compassionate understanding of others. Recognizing that we share the same human vulnerabilities helps us approach criticism with empathy, instead of judgment. We begin to see others not as flawed individuals to be condemned, but as fellow human beings on their own journey of growth. A path to humility. Humility is key to this lesson. Instead of seeing ourselves as superior to those we criticize, we realize that we all have our own struggles. This awareness encourages us to approach others with kindness and understanding, rather than criticism. By fostering humility, we contribute to a more compassionate and supportive world, turning criticism into opportunity. By asking ourselves, what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? We transform our tendency to criticize into an opportunity for personal growth. Instead of reacting with judgment, we choose self-reflection and growth. This simple yet profound shift in perspective can lead to more harmonious relationships and a deeper sense of inner peace. 75th lesson. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this, you have the power to revoke at any moment. This lesson reminds us that pain and distress often arise not from external circumstances themselves, but from the way we interpret those circumstances. In other words, the true source of our suffering lies within our thoughts and beliefs about what happens to us, not necessarily in the events themselves. The power of perception. We have the ability to change the way we perceive situations. For example, an unexpected challenge or setback may feel overwhelming at first, but by changing our perspective, we can reduce its impact on our emotions. The key here is recognizing that our judgments about a situation often determine how much it affects us. If we see something as an obstacle, it may cause frustration or pain. But if we view it as an opportunity for growth, the emotional response can shift dramatically. Taking control of your response. The lesson teaches us that we have control over how we respond to external events. While we cannot always control what happens to us, we can control how we interpret and react to those events. If we find ourselves distressed, we can choose to reframe our thinking and detach our emotions from the situation. This is where inner strength and emotional resilience come into play. We are not powerless in the face of adversity. We can choose to release the emotional hold that external events have on us. The role of perspective in suffering. Often, the pain we experience is not an inherent part of the situation, but a product of our perspective. For example, a delay or inconvenience may feel like a significant problem. But when we shift our view and see it as a minor hurdle or even a chance to practice patience, the distress is significantly reduced. This lesson encourages us to examine our perceptions and actively challenge any distorted or negative views we may have. Mastering emotional control. When we realize that we can revoke the pain caused by our own interpretations, we empower ourselves to navigate life's challenges with greater calm and equanimity. Instead of allowing external events to dictate our emotional state, we take charge of our responses, cultivating peace of mind and emotional stability. Choosing peace over distress. Ultimately, this lesson is about regaining control over our emotional well-being. By recognizing that the power to ease our suffering lies within our own perceptions, we can choose to respond with greater clarity, patience, and peace. We can revoke the emotional distress that comes from external events at any moment, choosing instead a mindset that fosters tranquility and strength. As we move forward, remember these lessons are not just quotes to ponder. They are calls to action. By applying Marcus Aurelius's wisdom, we can navigate life's challenges with grace, strength, and wisdom. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the timeless teachings of Marcus Aurelius. May these 75 life lessons inspire you to live a life of purpose, tranquility, and strength. Remember, the path to wisdom is a lifelong journey, and it starts with each moment you choose to live intentionally.